Welcome to dentReviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing the ER2SE. This is a dynamic driver variant of the Etymotic line, similar to the ER2, the ER3 and the ER4. This is the ER2. I also reviewed the ER2XR recently, so check that out. This shares a lot of things in common with that, although they all share things in common. It's the same old thing. I'm not going to spend too much time on the build. It's the same as all the other Etymotic stuff I've showed you. Right angle connector, new cable style. They do have a smaller Y-split. That is probably my favorite part of this. The smaller Y-split is just super sleek and compact, so I like that. I love the blue. Straight cables on the top, not braided. They have the MMCX with the little tabs, kind of like the Etymotic style connector. So these are removable. That's a pain. I'm not going to do it right now. And they have the standard ear tips that come with all the Etymotics. So same basic deal. The main difference between these and the other Etymotics are that these are dynamic drivers. And if you've watched my videos recently, you've seen that I have actually researched and checked out a bunch of earphones, and I've found more and more that I prefer dynamic driver earphones. I just feel like they have a better characteristic sound, a better timbre, a better realism to the, whether it be the decay, the attack, whatever. It just sounds more correct to my ear, more speaker-like, and I really like it. So Mark over at Super Review, knowing that I love Etymotic so much, thought I might be interested in these and sent them over, and I tell you, boy was he right. These are phenomenal. In fact, I think the ER2 is now my new favorite Etymotic line of earphones. That's a huge thing to say, because if you know me, the ER4 has long been my favorite earphone of all time. It's just a phenomenal earphone, and it's just great. It's still one of the best earphones for linearity and transparency. This is the blue housing with the nose filter in there, green filter, and then you have the little stress relief. So anyway, it is a beautiful earphone in look and sound. How do they sound? Well, these share the most in common with the ER4SR. And if you're familiar with that sound, you're going to be pretty well at home with this. The difference is the ER4SR, being balanced armature, has a different decay, attack, whatever it might be. The technical way that it produces the sound has what most people call a balanced armature characteristic. Some people say the treble is plasticky or this or that, whatever. I don't know if I say that, but what I will say is that the dynamic driver variant, the ER2, takes the same overall response, the same Etymotic linear treble and mids and bass, and it gives it a dynamic driver characteristic, which I think takes the Etymotics to the next level, personally. I think that the bass on the ER-SR and SE series are a little bit lean. I think that they should have a little bit more low bass. However, they're still very good, and as you listen to music for a little while, you can adapt, and it's not that bad. But I do prefer the XR series. I think they're a little bit more speaker-like without sacrificing anything up above. Now, the SE, being the leaner bass response, unfortunately, it doesn't handle the EQ that well as the SR does on the 4 series. I don't know why, but when I add in the missing bass, it just sometimes sounds like it's struggling a little bit. And I think the XR, even the 2XR, handles cutting the bass better and tweaking the treble a little bit rather than these adding the bass back in. So I do say that I prefer the XR, so check out that review. But in terms of the overall Etymotic lineup, this is up there at the very top, because that dynamic characteristic really adds to the Etymotic sound. It's just such a good linear, transparent frequency response, coupled with the dynamic driver tonality and characteristic. And I'm ashamed that I never tried these sooner, because these right now are so cheap. These are less than $100. I think they're like $60 or something like that. That is dirt cheap for what is one of the best Etymotics I've ever heard. That is, like, go buy one. It's bargain, super cheap. You can't beat that value. That's phenomenal. So I don't know what else I can really say about these. For anyone that knows, just go watch my other Etymotic videos. But I mean, the value is just striking. The sound signature is similar, Etymotic tuning, very, very similar. Probably more similar to their own tuning than other earphones. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so in line with that Etymotic target, and none of them are going to sound drastically different. But with the dynamic characteristic, it just takes that to the next level in terms of the detail perception. And see, some people actually find that the balanced armatures are more resolving and more detailed, and I don't believe that that's true. I believe they were more resolving in the sense that they might have a faster transient and sound a little bit snappier. But when I hear things on the dynamic versions of these, I notice things like string textures in a stringed instrument and airiness and clarity stand out more on the dynamic driver. That's just my perception. Now, I think with the balanced armature, the way that the sound has a fast decay and a fast snappy transient, that might give people the perception of a more sharp attack and more precision in the way that sound is moving. But I don't feel like it really draws out details necessarily any better, at least not in a realistic sense. I think the dynamic driver brings out more of a realism, and that the realistic presence of the instrument to me is more believable and therefore more detailed in a way. The decay of the bass is probably longer. If I had to guess, I don't have any measurements on these. And that decay just gives them a little bit more bass body, even at the same level, like the SE and the SR. I think the SE sounds a little bit bassier, even though it measures very similarly. The XR does have a little bit more boosted though, and that's a whole nother video. But so check these out. These are the ER2SEs. I highly recommend them. If you're trying to get into Etymotic, there is no better reason than to buy these because they're so cheap. If you're not a fan of lean and light bass response, you probably want to pick up the ER2XR, which is personally my favorite ER series right now, and I highly recommend them. But if you're into the leaner, more open-ended sound, I think the SE will fit your bill nicely, and for the price and the quality of these, they cannot be beat. So way to go, Etymotic/Lucid Audio. I highly recommend these. If you guys have any questions at all, leave them below, and as always, thank you guys for watching.